Alright, for this example, I want to go over how to get a weighted mean on the calculator. So I'm looking at this example here about the final grade, and rather than use that weighted mean formula, which can be a little clunky to do by hand, I'm going to use the calculator's one variable statistics function to get that weighted mean. Now, it would be incorrect to add up all of the scores and divide by the total, because each score has an associated weight to it. So if you want to do this by hand, make sure you use the weighted mean formula. Otherwise, I can show you how to get this in the calculator. Okay, so for this problem, the scores and their percents of the final grade for an archaeology student are shown below. What is the student's mean score? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put in the scores in list 1 on my calculator and the percent of final grade in list 2 in the calculator. Okay, so just like in earlier in the chapter, getting the information in the calculator, I want to press Stat and then Edit, and then I'm going to enter the scores in list 1. That will be my X list. Okay. And then I want to put in the corresponding percent in the same order in list 2. Okay, so after you get those two lists in, you want to press your Stat button again and right arrow over to Calc, and you'll see the first choice is one variable statistics. Now you want your X list in list 1, and your calculator may default to having list 2 for your frequency list. If you were calculating a simple mean, in other words an arithmetic mean where you're just adding up all the values and dividing by the total, you would want the frequency list to be blank. But since you're finding a weighted mean in this problem, you want the frequency list to have the list where you put in the weights. Okay, so I'm going to leave that at list 2. If you don't have anything there, you want to put in list 2 and then calculate. And that first entry there, that X bar, is the weighted mean for this problem. Now, one thing that's really nice about the calculator is that notice that I entered in the weights as percents. You can enter in the weights as decimal. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to go back to my Stat menu, and I want to go back to Edit, and then I want to clear my list 2. Clear that. Okay, so I want to re-enter in all of those weights as decimals. Again in the same order. And then I want to go back to my Stat menu, right arrow over to Calc, and again I want to select one variable statistics. I have my X list as list 1 and my frequency list, which is the list of weights, in list 2. And then calculate. And you'll see that the mean is the same as before. So the calculator has a nice option to it. You could enter in the weights as decimal, as relative frequencies, or you can enter them in as percents. Now, this is a really nice function in the calculator, and later in Chapter 4, in particular 4-1, when you're finding the expected value for a discrete probability distribution, the process is identical to this, except for the fact you'd be entering in the probabilities in list 2. And then from this screen, if we were in section 4.1, for example, we would have the mean, which is the expected value, and then we would also have the standard deviation. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind when you get to Chapter 4. I hope this helps.